Hey everybody, and welcome to the Intentional Harmony podcast. This podcast is for musicians looking to jumpstart their career, inspire others, and get motivated to make the life of your dream. I don't care if you've been playing music for 5 years or 20 years. If you want a career in music, then what the heck are you waiting for? And let me clarify when I say career. This podcast is not just for musicians that want to make it big. This is for the musician who wants to play part-time, the brand new artist who just needs a little push in the right direction, the artist who does want to make it their full-time gig, and even the artist who's still figuring it out, because really, aren't we all? Whatever your dream and vision may be, this podcast will be here for you. I'm your host, Katie Warren, and I am so excited that you decided to listen today. My goal with each episode is that you explore deeper thoughts, build confidence to make your dream a reality, and give you practical tools and ideas that you can apply to real-life situations. I'll start each episode with a bit of news from the industry because we all know it changes ridiculously fast. Hey everybody, and welcome to the third episode of Intentional Harmony. I am so glad you guys joined me again this week. And I do have to apologize. I am sick and I also have had surgery this week, so I'm a little under the weather in multiple ways. But we're going to get through this podcast because I think this topic is really, really important. Before I get started, I wanted to go over an interesting piece from the music industry on today's podcast, and it features the musician Tones and I. So if you've never heard her, she has a single out right now called Dance Monkey, and it just blew up. When I heard her backstory, I was immediately pulled in. The artist had a great story, and I believe it really could connect with a lot of you guys listening out there and really provide some inspiration. So ABC News got an interview with her and her manager Jackson. And I'm just going to read a short little clip from this interview because, my gosh, it is so relatable. And she just made that break in her career, but it did not start out that way. So she said, "We were going to release in March, but Jackson, my manager, said, no, put it off. Build your fan base, work hard, keep busking, and work on your live performance." Tones put her head down and did just that. "I took it really seriously, did it like a job. I wrote music Monday to Friday, and then I'd busk all weekend. I did that for 8 months. I did the Blues Fest busking comp, and I ended up getting to play Blues Fest last year and just kept going. And it's paid off." Tone says she's never had a singing lesson, but her voice has really developed, and it found its own over the last 12 months. "My voice really came alive last year, quitting my job and working full-time on music, singing every single day from 8:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. and busking." So I read that clip because she worked really hard for this. Like she said, she did it like a full-time job. She didn't just release something that was really good. She waited and she built her fan base and she waited for the right moment. And when she released it, it blew up. So, point of the story, you may not need everything you think. All it could take is consistent performance and getting yourself out there, one person to see your potential, and you could make it. You have to work hard, and clearly Tones did just that. She quit her full-time job, and hey, it was her music career, and she acted like it was her full-time job. So that was the interesting little blurb from the music industry. I really have a lot of respect from her because nothing was handed to her on a silver platter. She really worked hard for it all. All right, so today's podcast has a few different topics on the agenda. So the first topic we're going to talk about is in regards to touring. As a musician just starting out, we have a lot of pressure to perform right away. And don't get me wrong, we absolutely need to perform, but we may not need to do it across the country, right? That's the dream. We want to tour. We want to go everywhere and share our music with people. But, we feel pressure to have to work on these massive tours, making it big, but having a goal like that can actually throw you off your game. What you really should do is start small and pretty local first. Not only is it more affordable, which is always good as a new musician in this industry, but it also allows you to practice in your local market and get your stage presence down before you leave town. So once you feel comfortable with your town, branch out a little bigger. Go to the cities around you. As you're building a bigger fan base, branch out further, maybe to the state, and so on. So of course, I'm not saying if you have this huge opportunity come up, that you should turn it down. Definitely don't. But you don't need to feel like you have to go and search for these huge, tours and opportunities right off the bat. You need to work out the kinks maybe in a familiar market where you have people that you know really well to give you feedback. And, like everything, it needs practice, and touring is a whole different ballgame that you will need to practice at. And, planning out your goals in small chunks is a lot more manageable, and it gives you some time, to work out those bumps that comes with anything new in that warm market. So that moves us to the second topic, connecting with your warm leads. So it can be overwhelming, again, to just be starting out and to have to build a fan base from scratch. You post a song, right now you don't have a lot of followers, and then you get a notification and you're so excited because that notification just dinged on your phone and you checked and it was just your mom who liked the post. Thanks, Mom. But you really start to doubt after, the next few posts if anyone's ever really going to listen or watch besides your family and friends. And don't get me wrong, that support is really important. But it makes you question when that turning point is of actually getting some good social media online traction. So here's when you start brain dumping, as I like to call it. I will post a template in my blog, but really all it is a sheet that lists categories to pull from, and it covers all the people in your warm market, which means people who you have had contact with. So you can start by listing friends, acquaintances, coworkers, club members, maybe church groups, classmates if you're still in school, gym partners, even, those social media connections where once in a while you connect with someone and then you kind of let it fall off and then you maybe reconnect a few months or a year later. Any of those relationships are still your warm market because you've had some type of introduction, some contact with them. Once you start building out this list, you're going to realize that you actually do, in fact, have a lot of people that are in your warm market. Start there. Send them an invite to your artist page on Facebook, or send them a message letting them know what you've been up to. It doesn't have to be mushy or weird or anything to get in contact with them, but just be casual, like, hey, Kim, it's been a while since we've talked. What have you been up to lately? Let the conversation naturally take its turn, and as it flows naturally, they're eventually going to ask you what you've been up to. Ideally, if they don't, then, you'll have to find a way to kind of sneak that in. And, as the conversation flows naturally, as long as you don't make it sound like you're just chatting to sell them your music or gain a follower, if you actually show interest in them and concern for their well-being, they're probably going to check out your page. And by hitting these people first, you've already completed the hardest part, which is meeting someone. So use it to your advantage. That initial introduction has already happened in the past. That's why it's your warm market. So it's a little less intimidating. The third topic I want to talk about is conquering the fear of what will they think. Now, we all do it. This is a completely natural human thought process. We care about what others think. And we can talk ourselves out of a lot of things. So what I like to tell myself in these situations is, how are you keeping them from experiencing the emotions you have when you play this music? Right? They may really need to hear the song that you just wrote. They may really need someone to connect with and relate to in the season of life that they're in. By you getting in your own way, you're also causing them to miss out on something that could have a huge impact in their life. So let me ask you, what if they don't like it? What is the worst thing that's going to happen if they don't like your music? Maybe they unfollow you. Maybe they just don't say anything. Maybe they just ignore your posts. Maybe that won't be the worst thing, right? So what? If that's the worst that can happen, no one's going to die. No one's going to get hurt. We're just going to lose a fan that we probably wouldn't want following us anyways because your values don't match up, right? That's not your core target audience then. You never know what the reaction will be until you try. And if you keep worrying about what others think, you're never going to get into a growth mindset. You're just going to keep going through this cycle and, you can get stuck in it. You know your abilities. You know others are out there rooting for you. If you don't know, just know I am here. I am rooting for you. and you can get people to listen and enjoy your music. So you got to just stop getting wrapped up in what a few people will think. Chances are they're going to think it's amazing, and amazing that you're following your dream and putting yourself out there. A lot of people don't have the guts to do it. So, just by you listening to this podcast right now, I know you want to get to that point if you're not already. Just try it. You have nothing to lose. People are going to think, damn, they can sing or they can play some crazy chords. Do you think Lady Gaga really gives a damn about what people think of her? I can say probably not anymore. I feel like that was long gone after she chose to wear a meat outfit on stage. It's human nature to care. And yes, to a point, we do want to care what people think, of course. But if we're getting so wrapped up in that mindset that it is hurting our career and getting in our way and putting a damper on our potential, that needs to change. So again, ask yourself, what is the worst that could happen if some don't like what you put out? Now ask yourself, what's the best that could happen if you took a chance and you got out of your own way? Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast. You can find me at intentartistmanagement.com or intentartistmanagement on Instagram and Facebook. I would love to hear your feedback. I always welcome any suggestions or comments on these different podcasts. These are for you guys, so I want to make sure, any questions you want answered out there, any topics you want me to discuss, that I cover those in this podcast. So please reach out, please DM me for any feedback or suggestions or comments. This is the Intentional Harmony Podcast, and I'll see you next time.